Now for part A, to show that these lines do not intersect, what I'm going to do is to show you that there isn't a value of lambda and mu that is going to take us to the same point. Now normally we would compare the coefficients of I and then j and k, and looking at this particular question it's much easier to compare the k components. That's the ones in the bottom row. Why that is because I notice that there's a 0 here, and lambda times 0 is not going to be involved in this equation, so I could avoid simultaneous equations. So what I'm going to do is compare the k components. That's the bottom line. So if we compare the k components, here I've got -1, no lambda, so I can ignore that, must equal 6 minus mu. That's if these lines are to intersect. This is what I would want to do. I'd want to compare the components. And if this is the case, that rearranging this, if I was to add mu to both sides and add 1 to both sides, rearranging it, I would get mu equals 6 add 1, which is 7. Now, looking at, say, the j components here, I think I'm going to get a much easier equation than if I compared the I components. So what I'm going to do then is next compare the j components. So make sure you tell the reader what you're doing. So compare the j components. When we look at this, we've got just lambda equals 3 plus mu. But I now know that mu is 7, so if I substitute this into this equation here, let's just call this number 1, So we'll say sub mu equals 7 in 1, and what that gives me is lambda equals 3 add the 7, which is 10. Now, this is the crucial part of the solution. I now go to the I component, and check to see whether these values are consistent. If they are, it would mean that the lines intersect. If they're not, then it would mean that the lines are skew, that they do not meet. So what we're going to do is compare then the I components. And on the left hand side here I've got that we would have 1 plus 1 lambda. 1 plus lambda equals, and on the right here we would have 1 plus 2 mu. 1 plus 2 mu. And if I carry on solving this, taking 1 from both sides, you'll see that I have lambda equals 2 mu. But when I look up here, lambda is 10 and mu is 7, so 10 does not equal 2 lots of mu. 2 sevens are 14. So I can see that this statement is not consistent with this result. So therefore I can say that since 10 does not equal 2 times the 7 that I had up here, the lines do not meet. The lines do not meet. They're skew, in other words.